Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of Guiding You Home, where we build confidence to go within. And guess what? I have a bestie on the call.
I'm so excited.
This is Nicole Roufs, and she has quite a story, really a profound, in-depth thinker, feeler, emotional intelligence that runs deep in you. And you are a strategist helping women build their businesses from the foundation up, like giving them the strategy that's going to work. So I'm super excited to jump in with you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Anytime I get to spend time with you is a good day. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you came from, why you do what you do.
Well, it's kind of a loaded question, Teresa.
I know, it's big. We've got time.
Sweet. Well, I would say who I am. Nicole, I am a mama to 3 adult children, and I adopted my nephew, who also is an adult, between the ages of 21 and 25, which is insane. And I am a business strategist. I love helping women. I've always said business shouldn't be done alone, and I think so many entrepreneurs do it all alone. So my goal is to come alongside and help them work smarter, not harder. I know it sounds easier said than done, but now, especially after coaching for all these years, I see so much goodness, and I've seen so much heartache and hardship that I like to mitigate as much as I can and help people just get to what they need to do faster. And I know life is all about learning lessons, so I'm not saying that, but when it comes to certain things in business, we can definitely trim the fat in a lot of areas, and that's what I'd love to help women do. So that is work, Nicole.
I love that. Do you mind if we get a little bit personal with this? Like you have, strong women like you can come across as, well, she's already known how to go within. She's always known that. I also want to dive in a little bit to your story, that there was like an incredible pivotal moment in your life when you lost your mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it changed you as a person. And I always say things are happening for us, not to us, right? And I know you believe that as well, and that you can see the synchronicities of how your life has evolved. But I know that you and I have sort of been on a journey of rebranding as business women and that sort of thing, and figuring out who we are. I've remained a coach, and you've moved yourself into a place of being a business strategist. And so we're always evolving, but I always believe that the confidence to go within comes from maybe even the hardest times we've ever endured.
100%.
And then recognizing who we are in a moment, like where we are now. I just see you learning and growing and developing, and you're just like stepping into your personal power. With that comes emotional crashes. And I went to the dentist yesterday, and I just had buckets of tears coming out of my eyes because all of a sudden the 5-year-old in me showed up. Like, we have these things, and even though we're women who believe in our truth and our divine callings, it wasn't free money. It didn't just, here you go, free life, good luck, and have fun. So dive into your story a little bit.
Oh man, no. And I just have to say, I totally agree. It is a hard, I was just telling you a little bit before I started, I'm listening to a podcast, and it's all about just life. And I feel like I've been such an emotional person, which I love. And so are you. And I know that. And then I'm also it can be so hard and crazy. But what I've found throughout all of the years is if I'm not back centered to me, that's when I have my hardest time. Like if I'm too into what other people think or what too much into how I feel like I should be or give myself a hard time because I didn't do something. And so to come into your question, Teresa, like
take us back to that pivotal moment and then the bullet points that helped you find yourself.
Well, it's interesting because it's like technically like, right, my story would start when my mom died when I was 9, right? But like there's so many layers before that. It's crazy. Being a human is wild.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And like we signed up for this.
Yeah, it's like, well, here we are. So what are we going to do?
And I agree wholeheartedly that things happen to us or for us and not to us.
Yeah.
Because I also know like throughout all of the things, like, let's just say like my mom was 17 when she got pregnant with me, right? Like she was a young teenage mom. All the things, did the best that she could. I have a brother that's 15 months younger than me. And then we're in a car accident. When I am 9, my brother's 8, and my mom and her boyfriend are killed on impact. And you go in that moment and it's like, oh my gosh, like what is life supposed to be? Like I'm 9, I haven't even figured out, like I don't even know anything about life, but yet then like you're torn away from what you know and who you are. My brother was sent to live with his dad. I went to live with my aunt. Like it's just this whole like that was the moment. But then it's also like, this is where like life is so crazy, Teresa. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not sure what angle I want to go with this, but like, I feel like God does have a plan for our lives and he gives us certain like strengths and things and personality traits. And then he also humbles us in a lot of ways. Right. So it's like, I feel like looking at that and being like, yeah, my story is my mom passed away, but I'm like, I also was honestly never really close to her. She was not able to be there for me. She was 17 years old. And now I know, like, fast forward into my adult story of knowing why she couldn't be there for me, right? Like you have grace and you have things. And I think like God gave me a strength, something to get through that. Because otherwise, like I couldn't get through that. So I feel like I'm kind of all over the board with answering this, but I feel like even in the last little bit, I've had these like amazing emotional like revelations of like, holy hell, like what is life all about? Like, yeah, it's our story, but it's like, it's so much of how we're handling it and how much then you appreciate life, right? Like, and to be totally honest, and we might want to edit this out, I don't know, maybe we don't, but I found out last night that my brother is in jail. He's been in jail. He's had a whole hard life of things, and he's probably going to be in jail for 30 years. And
I've heard people that go to jail actually get the help they need.
Yeah, he's been out for 15 years and sober and has had a journey, right? Like talk about like things happening for us. Like he wouldn't agree with that, right? Like it's so hard, and it's like, and so you just think, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what allows somebody, like, because we went through the same tragedy, right? And like in he's had such a hardship with it, and not that I'm good, because I'm not. Like I just said, I had a huge meltdown the other day. Like it's hard to be a human, right? But like when you go into all of that, it's like, I don't know. And I feel like just coming back and knowing to you and knowing what this podcast is about, like just thinking like, how do we stay centered? How do we stay connected to God and Jesus during all of that, even when it's hard? Because it's easy to be connected when it's good, right?
Right. And I love that. That's honest. It's real. It's raw. We're figuring it out as we go, right? Nobody has it figured out. Like in the next 3 seconds from now, we'll be like 1, 2, 3. Oh, hello. Welcome to the future. We've never been this today right now. Right?
Yeah.
It's literally unfolding like that for us. And we just don't think that that's what's really happening. We're like, I should know who I am. I should know what I need to be. I should know how this is going to go. And we don't, because first of all, we're not built to spend our lives isolated or alone.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for connection, and we have our families and we have our friends. And I feel like who they are in the moment, that who you are in a moment is a brand new experience for everybody. Yeah. So do you mind sharing a little bit about what led up to the meltdown on Friday? Because I think real life experiences are just, they really can touch people in important ways.
Honestly, like it was a perfect storm of just being busy and not paying attention to myself. And I've learned about myself too. I feel like I want life to go faster than it really does. I'm like, oh, I'm ready, right? Like we've talked about this, like, God, put me in the game, right? Like, let's go. And when it doesn't happen on what I think is my human timeline, it can be frustrating, right? It can make you angry. It can make you sad. It can make you all of the things. And so really, like, there wasn't one main thing. It was just this accumulation, and also feeling like, again, I let myself become a little bit of a victim of my story. I'm like, I don't have parents. I don't have family. I knew my brother wasn't good at this point. I didn't know he was in jail. But I had a conversation with him, and I was like, it was so heavy on my heart because I've been down this road with him. Yeah. And it's really, really hard. Addiction is really, really hard. And then to have done that, and I just had a little pity party, to be totally honest. And so spent a day in bed, and I was like, oh, like, I was like, nope. You can't do this. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, you have like things that you have to do and be. And then I go to church on Sunday, and not letting your heart harden through all of the things in life. And I was like, oh, okay, gotcha. Right. So like, you just to know, like, life wants to try to take us down sometimes. And it's easier said than done to be like, oh, just get up and go. Right. Like, and what my kids have watched, they know most of my journey, not all of it, like they're my children, but they see me firsthand too. And I was like, you know what? Like, it was probably the first time my daughter's ever seen me. I was like, I just want to lay in bed. I'm tired. I'm just 46 years and I was tired, right, of stuff. And I was like, luckily, like, to me, I want to just go in bed and lay down and watch stupid TV and sleep, right? Versus like, my brother or somebody else would go drink or go do all the other things, right? So it's just how we deal with things that make us. And not to say, I mean, I didn't think about that at that moment, and not to say that I love a good mimosa. I'm not saying that I'm not like that, but really that reality of just trying to recalibrate and then be like, okay, what did I learn from this?
That's a good word. I like the recalibrate word. And I talk on my podcast a lot about nervous system regulation because we all have one.
Yeah, we do.
And it gets ignored a lot. And we're like, well, this is not who I am to just lay in bed and do nothing, because we know that's not what you do on a regular basis. But we're humans, right? Yeah. And yesterday, going to the dentist, waterworks coming out my eyes. Little 5-year-old me was there, and she was reliving some, trauma. My mom wasn't careful, and she wasn't kind with my teeth.
Yeah. Teeth.
And so, it's not the dentist, it's the teeth, and so there's some memories there, and it caught me completely off guard. So I appreciate you even just sharing your meltdown, as we call them, but it was little you who was asking, can I have a day off? Yeah. Can I just, I don't know how to, be this busy and not take a break, and because we live with ourselves, we have to help little you understand that she's safe, and she's safe to be busy, but she's also safe to take a break. And we're always just tapping and talking to our little selves. And she wanted to be in bed for a day. And sometimes it's kind of like when your child is little and they climb in bed with you and they're telling you that they're scared and they're worried. I just got back from spending 9 days with my cute little grandkids. And my 6-year-old grandson, the first night, he came right up to the bedroom door, and I could tell he was standing there, and he didn't say anything. I was like, come here. And he hopped in bed with me, and he was crying. He said, I thought you were on the couch downstairs. So he thought maybe they were in the house alone or something.
Oh, honey.
He didn't know where I was. I know, it was so sweet. And he climbed into bed with me, and I tucked him in my arm, and I was like, he's like, yeah, my leg hurts. He was like not going to directly say he was scared that maybe it was up to the oldest. He's the oldest in the family to figure out what to do in a house alone, right? Because his mom and dad had just left, and he was still processing that they weren't there. So anyway, we snuggled, and, we talked about it. But that's what little you is doing. She's tucked under your arm. She's like, Mommy, I just feel tired and overwhelmed, and I'm running this new program, and I have to do the things that aren't in my zone of genius, and I don't love having to do it, and this is all new to me. And really, we're just here to listen to ourselves, because what happens is you start to build trust between little you that just climbed into bed with you and wants a day off, and adult you that knows how to be the badass moneymaker and and the strategist that you are, and to help women build their businesses. And together, a trust is built because you gave yourself time off. I allowed myself to cry at the dentist's office. Like there was, we're allowing ourselves to be fully present in every moment. And what happens is little you, however old she was when she was having a meltdown on Friday, was like able to mature and develop and grow in that moment that you took time off and let her vent. I don't have mom, I don't have a dad, I don't have family, I don't have a circle that I can count on. Like that is so important for you to hear that.
Yeah.
So sometimes we think, oh, we're in victim mode. And are we?
I know. I think you just have to process through it too, and just be like, okay, it is a reality, right? Like, and that's the thing. Like, it is. We can be like, oh, woe is me, right? And I did a few hours. Like I was like, holy hell, like it does suck. But then the reality is like, it is just what it is. I can't control it. I'm not going to change it. I can't wave a magic wand. So at this point, like, okay, like what are we going to do? Like what is going to happen? And too, like the helper in me is always one taking care of all the things and everybody else and all of this stuff. And it was like, I think I just finally got like, whew, okay, let's just take a breather. And you're right, like thinking about nervous system and all of the things, I think like I didn't listen to myself nearly enough. Like there were signs and things, and I just was like, no, it's fine, I'll keep going. And you push yourself to that point. And then I think it's like, God's like, no, I'm going to force you now. Like, you're going to like, this is, this is past your capacity of your ability. And so it's good and it's humbling. And like we said, it is wild to be a human. So some days you just go with it and you know what's on the other side. And again, I was reading something the other day, and it's talking about how we try to like in life mitigate all of the risks, and like you just try to like get through, and like we all feel like everything should be good and happy, but in reality, like so much learning and growth comes from that hard. Like that is where, like, to me, I find the foundation of appreciation and value and being able to help others, but also like just that mindset of like, oh my gosh, like, yes, it did suck, but like, oh my gosh, how much beautiful is this right now? Like, how much do I appreciate life because I know how fragile it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you just go, okay. And so, and one of the things I was listening to, they were saying how, like, as parents, we really try so hard to protect our kids because we don't want them to go through what we went through, right? And it was the perfect example. Like, I did not want my children to go through things. I was like, no, like, I wanted them to have a family and parents and all of the things that, like, I didn't have. And luckily they do. They still have their dad. They have a set of grandparents. Like, so grateful for that. But I also feel like I probably did them some disservices in some ways of just trying to, like, keep them safe, right? But it was my ability. I was trying to keep them safe in the best way that I knew how at the time. But now I'm like, man, life experiences, that is where we also grow. And so as they have gone through hard things as adults too, it's really painful. It's hard because I want to take it away, but I'm like, that's their life journey. That's what they get to go through. And as hard as it is to watch, like, it's also beautiful to be able to know, like, no, like, they have a strong foundation. Like, they can figure it out. And
I kind of feel like God says that to us. Like, I think you just spoke for God. I think, like, I was like, they are smart. I gave them everything they need. They can figure this out. This experience will be good for them. They're going to grow. Like, I think you just put a script to what God says to us and how he places his confidence in who we are.
So true. Oh my gosh, Teresa, that's so true.
But you know, we are patterned after God. And I think the way we feel about our children, how we want to protect them, but not so much that we take away their opportunities to grow, is we're just repeating what's already been done. Yeah. Like, God's done that for us. We're doing that for our children. They'll do it for their children. I feel like the theme that's developing here is to live in the moment. Yeah. Is how to live in the moment, because you're literally describing, you know, you did live in the moment best you could as a parent. Mm-hmm. And we're living in the moment best we can as entrepreneurs. And we're living in the moment best as we can as a human. 100%. Right? And we're just, here we are today. We woke up on March 4th and, you know, And you're texting me, and you're like, I know we're early morning risers, but does it feel like the middle of the night? Because that's what that moment felt like. I was like, you're not wrong. It is the middle of the night, I think. But I want to also just shine a light on what we did as parents and what we know now that we didn't know then. Again, going back to staying with grandkids, I'm like, woo, I am tired. I was like, how did we ever do this the first time? I had 5, the first go round. But I feel like ignorance is important to point out here.
And you're young and clueless. Absolutely.
We didn't know. What the heck? It was like your kids woke up, somebody had a hangnail, somebody had, the hunger and hangry and, and we're like, what are we doing here? So I feel like giving credit to, like, there's not a morning that anybody, not one of us, those listening, you and I, there wasn't a morning that we woke up and decided consciously, today I think I'll suck. We literally were like, okay, here we go, buckle up, let's do our best. And we just did our best. And I think even though we look back and we're like, well, there's things I would have done differently, and I overprotected or I underprotected or whatever it was that we were doing, we couldn't have gotten it wrong because it was our best.
Yeah.
And the children that were brought to us we were the perfect parent for their growth process for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, your mom was the right woman to bring you into this world. And she brought you into this space where she had an appointment to leave this world at a specific time, which is sometimes hard to comprehend, and it takes decades to process. But here you are, a woman she would be so proud of. Can we cry? It's okay to cry.
I'm usually the first.
She would look at you and go, this human being came from me when I knew nothing and I couldn't even be emotionally available for her. She was just tagging along, hoping that I would turn around and look at her at some point.
Yeah. You know more of,
Yes. And here you are. Because now you're turning around and looking at you going, all right, there were signs along the way that I needed to just stop, breathe, take care of myself, reset the nervous system. And I didn't. And it culminated in a meltdown, as we call it. And for some reason, that gets a bad rap.
Yeah, true.
The meltdown gets a bad rap because now you're like, oh, there goes a whole Friday that I didn't do anything productive. But you know what? There was a whole Friday where you could actually spend time with little you who didn't have that mother figure, who had a surrogate mother who stepped in, and she did the best she could. But ultimately, I feel like the confidence to go within is parenting those parts of us that got left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And being nurturing and like you said, we've all done. There's never a day that we've woken up and said, I'm going to suck today, right? Like, I feel like that's a huge piece of life, and we do the best that we can. And it's interesting, my son said to me once, probably 5 years ago, because I felt like I was like, man, I tried everything to give them a stable life, all of the things, and like really, really hard, like all of the stuff. And he says, it's okay, you did the best that you could with what you had. And I remember being crushed. Yeah, I love that. No, I was crushed, Teresa. It was like...
I appreciate that. That's so honest. Go ahead.
Because it does, in theory, like, that does sound good. But I was like, but that was and I just finished reading Mindset by Carol Dweck. And it's all about like a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And I didn't realize I had such a fixed mindset. I was like, no, I did this. I crossed the T's and dotted the I's. And I like had all of these like things that I felt were in place for them, right? Like, and then realizing and hearing that, like, that I might not have done something perfect is devastating. But now, after, like, that's played through my head so many times, I'm like, I am human. Like I really did the best that I could. And some people could have done better than me and some people couldn't have done that same, like, you know what I mean? So like to have that level, but it was just a humbling moment of, holy Hannah, like I didn't want to admit defeat. I didn't want to admit like that I didn't do the very best job and that they're not like these perfect children and like they don't have this perfect life. We're all human. Like none of us have that. And I think like I strove so many years to be perfect and to have it all together because I was trying to control Zilla that I always talk about, that you taught me about. She's real and she tried to come in. And so, and to be able to surrender a little bit to that and be like, yeah, like I didn't wake up to try to suck. I did the best that I could. And some days it's not going to be good. It's still not going to be good for the next 46 years. But I think all of that to just say like, it's wild. I don't know. It's just like, it just makes you like really, it's humbling, right? And that's where I think like I just always want to be in the state of learning and growing and not feeling that I know everything, because I obviously clearly don't. None of us do, but to really just be able to be open to whatever God has planned for us. And it's okay to be tired sometimes.
Yeah, I love that distinction that you made, because I have felt that myself, where it's like, I do not want to admit that I yelled at my kids. I don't want to admit that I didn't take care of their nervous systems. I obviously I didn't even know that was a thing. You know, I didn't want to admit that I had, you know, dismissed their feelings. I didn't want to admit that I wasn't the perfect mom. I was a pretty good family manager. Like, I have calendars to prove it. Every Monday there was a theme. Every month there was a value. Like I managed, I got them from point A to point B. They had clothes, food, and shelter. But I didn't know that there was an emotional component to taking care of children and nurturing them. I was completely oblivious because it had never been taught to me. I heard somebody say recently, they're like, I didn't know my mother was supposed to love me. I was like, earth-shattering moment. I didn't know my mother was supposed to love me. I was like, oh, yes. Like I knew something was off. Something doesn't feel right here as a 6-year-old, and wondering why she was baring her teeth at me. Wondering what is that? But I think the freedom comes from releasing the idea that it should have been different. That we should have, could have, would have known different. Our kids would have seen themselves more clearly, loved themselves more fully, you know, seen themselves for who they truly are. The way we saw them, we just didn't express it maybe, or we just didn't hold them and tell them, you know, we just, I describe myself as a fly on the wall. You know, I was like, I love to be watching them interact, because they were hilarious together. They were so fun. They were so cute. They were so genuine. But I forgot to interject my feelings. And so they walked away going, we don't know if she loves us. We don't know what she thinks of us. We don't know. You know, I think my youngest 2 did, but the oldest 3, I think they were just like, you know.
Well, and if you go back to what you said earlier about like the chaos control, right? Like they had a hangnail, they had all these things, like you're in survival mode too. So like it is interesting, because I think like they should just know what we feel and think, right? Like you just
well, it's your first run at it too. You know, you didn't have your mom. I didn't have a mom either. She was in the house, but that wasn't necessarily a good thing. So
more traumatizing.
Yeah. So, you know, we did do the best we could, but I think the freedom comes from releasing the idea that we could have done it differently, or that it should have gone better based on our children's current struggles. You know.
Yeah, and I can't even wait to be a grandma. I feel like that's why people love it so much, because like you don't have to have that chaos and that control, but you can just pour all the love into them. And that's where I think like that grandparent piece can come in. It's like you have to be a different player in the game when your kids are little, because you do have to keep them alive. You have to manage them. You have to do all the things. And it's like you can't. We haven't been through enough life experience. Like if I were to parent now, it'd be a different game. But I'm 2 decades older. right? So, I mean, you can't even, it's not apples to apples anymore. So, and I would just say, like, life is so humbling. It's just so, in such a good way. Like, it's like anytime I feel like I start to get like, like, don't they know that? Shouldn't they know that? Like, like, right? Like, God just knocks me on my ass and just shows me, like, actually, no, like, we all have a story, we all have a journey, and nobody's perfect. Everybody is trying the best that they can. And if they're not, like, it's their journey. It's not my responsibility to take care of them or to change them. And it's really beautiful in a lot of ways when we can just look at life from a standpoint of,
I don't think it's ever too late to nurture them.
Yeah.
To encourage them and to move into a relationship with them that promotes your belief in them, which also helps promote belief in them. I want to ask you, so at this point in your life, can you share how connecting to your higher wisdom has led you to accept yourself? Maybe, is that a good way to say it? Is to accept all that you are now? I mean, there's more yet to come, right? But you talk about being humbled, and sometimes we get all, Controlzilla wants to take all the problems away, and
she's real.
And there's a trauma brain because she doesn't know anything except for the past. She's gonna focus on what she doesn't want versus dreaming up what she does want. Yeah, because it keeps her safe. It's what's normal. It's like, I know what not to do, so we're going to focus on what not to do. But how do you tap into your higher self so that you feel like you have more of a connection on what you do want?
My biggest way is, my morning routine is typically like my daily little sprinkled in. Like, I love to just sit and have my coffee. I read the Bible a little bit, or I just like pray. It's just my moment of things. But I also, hiking is my main way of being able to just connect and disconnect and connect, disconnect to connect. And so, like, and obviously now I live in Arizona, so I love it. I can just go find a little trailhead and find a mountain and just really like tune things out and listen to music. And I laugh. I always just let God be my DJ. And every single time the songs are the perfect mix of what I needed, or times that I don't listen to music and I just have to sit in my thoughts. Like, that's scary because it's easier to listen to music too. And have that, right? And so to me, Teresa, that is right now, that's my biggest way. And I go to a church. I found a non-religious church that is just like, it's been really, really great. And the messaging is usually amazing and what I need to hear and carries me through. So, I mean, I would say that. And I used to journal a lot more. I haven't. I did a little bit the other day, but I was always afraid people might read it. And I didn't like that. So it wasn't safe enough to put it down. But I feel like there is something so therapeutic about that.
There really is. I feel like when you just start writing about your life, you hear yourself say things, you receive words that you might not have expressed otherwise and as you're writing. And I also feel like as you get more clear, there's less shame around the things that you want to say, that you want to write down, and that your words become more of your own teacher, your own inner guidance. Wisdom comes forward, best advice for you, as you're writing down, because we tend to start writing less about the trauma or the downward spiral that we will fall into if we are not on a healing journey. And it tends to spiral upward. And we start to write about the things that, I know this is what caused that. And I know also this is where I want to go with it. You start to kind of write forward and backwards as in that vein of understanding the teacher, right? The lesson that was there for you.
Can I ask you, how do you connect, or what's your way of?
Ooh, what's interesting is that I've been saying that I was in a personality coma. Like, I was just like, for probably a couple of years, I was outside in the yard for 3 or 4 hours, just like sunlight and asking God to hold me. You know, I think my little inner child was recovering from a lot of neglect in the past. And so, but it evolved. And what's, I think, interesting about our morning practices and the spiritual practices is that they do evolve. I feel like I hit a point in the last month where I was trying to do what I used to do, which was I did a lot of chakra energy work. You know, turning on the chakras. You turn them like a dial. You turn them all on, you know, and as you go through and you turn on all the chakras, I was also shielding myself up in a bubble of light because I felt like I needed protection. And I was cutting cords of past trauma and pulling out those tethers where I maybe was still chained to the post like an elephant, you know, and I was just removing those parts of me that believed she was stuck. And then more recently, it's been much more of an ask and receive practice where I'm sitting quietly like you. Sometimes it's in the scriptures. Sometimes it's just prayer, and always high frequency music. For me, because I have a trauma brain that doesn't forget what, you know, all the things that might hurt me or, you know, come out to get me. In order to move myself into a safe place, I always listen to high frequency music. So solfeggio music, or
I love that too. I do too.
Yeah. And so when I have that in, it's like I can hear God easily. You know, when it's not, I have to sort through my brain, my spirit. Like I'm like doing this constantly, trying to get the thoughts separated from the knowingness.
I love that. Thank you for saying that too, because I do think I do that too. Like not even realizing that like that's my favorite way, because otherwise, and it's like that practice of starting it, and it opens up the ability to receive. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I love that.
No, that's fine. But with the music in my ears, there's something about that takes the trauma part of the brain and makes it busy. So the receiving part of the brain can hear.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And then I have been much better at asking very specific questions. You know, what's the most important thing I can do today to build my business, or to be a magnet to the blessings I'm asking for. And I feel like then I do the writing. Like my writing is in the most basic of notebooks, but I fill one of these probably every 3 months.
I love that.
So there's a lot of writing. I do a lot of writing, and there's a practice to that writing that helps you hear yourself, helps you be more centered so you can hear what's coming up out of you. Like some things like yesterday, I wrote something down and I was like, oh, because it doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from my brain, right? I'm receiving it. And it said, what came through as excitement is the key indicator that the thing we want to be different is desire calling you home. That didn't come from me. So when I was like, oh, I'm excited about this, I was like, oh, that's my desire calling me back to me. You know, coming out of that personality coma, I was like, I don't know. And I hated that. I was like, I should know who I am. I should know what I want. I should be back to that person that wants to feel fired up and is excited about life. And I was like, I don't know. And I couldn't find me. And that's, you know, that was depression. It was a personal coma. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but yesterday, you know, you just become this new person every single day, and you should expect it. You should expect yourself to be new every day. You know, I don't know how many people realize that everything around us symbolizes Christ. When the sun goes down at night, what does that symbolize in Christ? Right? He went to the tomb, and it was death, right? So we go to sleep. We fall unconscious. We die. to, without our heart stopping, that is as close as we're going to get. Right.
Yeah.
And in the morning, there's the sun, like clockwork,
Yeah.
without fail. You can
I
trust
know.
it. Right. And that's just like Christ rising from the tomb. And after 3 days of darkness, there was light.
Right.
And we have to understand that we are becoming a new person every single day. When that sun comes up, we can expect miracles. And the miracle is, here we are.
Absolutely. And don't you think too, like, that's the part of being the humbling part I talked about. It's like when you're like, I should figure this out. I should know, like, you're stuck. And it's like, but no, you get to have an evolution of a new person. Like, that old person has served you. Like, you don't need that anymore. And I think we get frustrated because we want to know our answers, right? We want to be like just in this now, but that's where the beauty comes in. Look at like how much you sitting in that and being in that space has helped you help all of these women. Like, you're one of the most kick-ass life optimization people I know. Like, so you've been able to take that, all of that, and then help people tremendously. And that's what like jazzes me up. And I think that's what also like makes me love you even more. Like, I already love you, but like your ability to be able to sit in that and then like process through it and then share about it. Like, that's a true gift, Teresa.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I feel like the gifts that we all have, like we can't live without them personally, but we can't live without them collectively. Right?
Yeah, no. And that's so true. Like you said at the beginning, we're not meant to live alone, right? Like I say, business isn't meant to be done alone, and neither is being a human. And it's when we self-isolate, I feel like that's where we can get in trouble too. But when you can open up and be, it's hard to be vulnerable, right? It's hard to say, I don't have my shit together, or I need help, or what do you think about this, right? Like, it's easier to have it all together and to figure it out and be the one people come to. But at the end of the day, we are learning, and it's what step we're at and how can we help those ahead or behind or all around us too. So
yeah, I love that. And because there is a mask that we want to be seen in our greatest light. But over the years, like that 7-year dip where I was like, where did I go? I don't know. That has helped me also pull off the mask of perfection, that I got it all together, that I don't need anybody, that, I want people to see that, only the good light, when now I think it's more important than ever, to say I cried at the dentist, to say we had a recent meltdown, and I will often fall to my knees and beg God to remove doubt from my body, remove the frequencies that don't serve me, because I can feel them so clearly now. And I can feel when I am, it's not that I'm holding myself back as much as I'm disallowing myself to become the person that I need to be in a moment. Because I don't think we do hold ourselves back. I just think that there's a giant leap that when we make it, we will be free. And we're like, ooh, I don't know. I've never been free. That's
right.
Who will I be if I'm free? Right.
100%. Yeah. I think The Big Leap is one of the best books that talks about that stuff too. Because it is, it's like, it is a scary thing to allow ourselves in that. And again, there's a lot of components. It's our nervous system. It's all of the things. And I think just even being aware and just talking through it. And when people can be vulnerable, and I think everybody thinks everybody else has it figured out. I often laugh and like, where's the damn manual? Like, nobody told me this stuff. Like, come on.
That is such a good, where is the damn manual? I love that. Yeah. And we weren't given a handbook for any of our children. We weren't given, there's no script for this, it's do your best and learn as quickly as you can. And when you bump up against that upper ceiling of where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can stretch that far, do it anyway, because it's who you become, right? It's exciting on the other side. Yeah, I've seen you do that just so recently, but rapidly. So it's no wonder that your nervous system's like, wait a minute, take a break. It's like, can we do this? Is this okay? Can I be this person? Can I be this amazing strategist that changes women's lives forever so that they can succeed. Like you are literally the one going, and there's no upper limit.
Thank you, and
that is what you're doing. You've got eyes on them. You're like, hey, here's where the struggle is. Here's where the gap. Like, so let's fill the gap. And now there's no upper limit. Now you're limitless. And we kind of do the same thing in that way. Yeah. I do that on maybe the trauma side, and you do that on the business side, right? Yeah, you take your business. It's like, where's the trauma in your business? And it's usually connected to the person that's running the business.
Oh, our businesses right? are 100% reflection of us.
Yeah, it's their upper limit issue, and you're removing the limitations, and then it's their job to take that and run with it, and believe that there is no limit. Yeah. And I do the same thing. But I think, again, like we're sitting with these powerful women, and it's in a moment. Mm-hmm. It's in the moment. Yeah. That they change, that they get one more new idea that's like, ooh, so if I just stop doing this and start doing this, I'm working smarter, not harder. And all of a sudden the light comes on.
Yes. Yes. It's so damn empowering. Like that is exactly what it's all about. And just helping and loving and sharing and taking it day by day. That is all we can do in this human life.
Super good. Super good. So what one tip would you leave for the listeners that you've discovered about who you are and about your journey that has helped you go inward to trust your gut and your guidance more than the world's noise? What's the one thing that you do that is like, this was a game changer for me?
I would say, and this is more recent for sure, I'm trusting my own intuition. I used to be like the person in me that I love people. I love people's opinions. I love what do you think? How do you do? I love chatting. I love talking. But what I've learned is so much noise takes me away from my instincts and my centered self. So really yes, I love people. And I might ask one person, for example, when I started my business, I did my own website because I could do Wix, right? How many years ago, I was like, just because I can. And I did it, and I was so freaking proud. And I sent it to 10 of my closest friends, and I was like, isn't this amazing? And they were all like, well, this error's here. This is there. This is that. I had all of these noises to the point where it's like, I'm not going to do I don't even need to have a website because I just was so discouraged. And I think so often in life, my default is to want to bring people in and ask and see. But what I really, really found is it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, the answer's inside of us, right? But at some point, I really, I know my intuition, and I don't, not to say I don't get it wrong, because I do, but I'm not going to feel bad or do any harm when I go in and I check in with myself, and I just really, really, really what do I really want? What are my instincts telling me? What do I actually think about this? And when I can, maybe like you, put in some frequency music or do the things, and all of the decisions and things in life, we get so on autopilot. But when I can find that I can come in and be like, no, actually, what do I really want? What do I need? Even if it's the best opportunity in the world, if it doesn't sit well with me, or if it's all of the things, it's just really just gut checks, I guess, would be my answer to that, Teresa. I know that was a really long roundabout way, but really not taking so much outside noise and so much. And not that I don't love people. Again, I think I made that clear, but I know what I know, and I need to just tune into that, because when I go awry, it's because I didn't trust my gut. I really didn't use my own intuition on something. And so that's what I would say.
I love that. I love that. It is a moment to moment. How am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing? You're trusting to know when you need a reset, when you need a break, when you need to recalibrate. Also trusting, big decisions, when is it time to make the big move? When is it time to make the, the big purchase or the big, decision? It's, you do know. Always, right? And that's the thing. We're like, I don't know. It's actually, you do.
You do. And if you don't, there's something to peel away to let you get back to that. No, totally. Yeah. I love it so much. But I love you, Teresa, so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. This has been fantastic. And I wish you the best day ever.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at teresaford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at teresaford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.